What's up, everybody? It's the Digital World Podcast. We're here looking at this 30-year bond yield, 4.69. Okay. Not much has changed since we last spoke, but again, we've been consolidating, doing an ascending triangle. And usually, what ascending triangles do is break out to the upside. I'm not concerned about little moves that we're having here and there. I think you gotta have a long term horizon type of view. And so, not concerned here, but I think ultimately the breakout will be upwards. So, again, the 30-year mortgages are at the lowest we've seen them. Let's go 3 year. The lowest we've seen them since October 10th of 2024. That's the lowest. So it's been almost a year. It's been basically 11 months since we've seen mortgage rates this low. I also am of the opinion that we will see higher mortgage rates. I'm not concerned about these small moves on these time frames. Sometimes these we can be in here for a long time, and we've basically been hovering around this since 2022. We've been hovering around 6 to 7% mortgage rates. So, and that's been for 3 years. So I'm telling you, don't get fixated on, oh, we're down, 20 basis points on mortgage rates, in the last week or two. No, trust me, that's just a minor move. I think the bigger issue that you have to take into consideration is um, what's happening right now. A lot of people are trying to sell their home, and the prices at which homes are under the assumption that uh, we have low mortgage rates. A lot of people have not come to the reality and accepted that um, we're not in the same boat as we were, a couple years ago, and that is telling because a lot of people still want to get paid or get their houses, sell their houses for 2022 prices or thereabouts, um, with current mortgage rates, and that's just not going to do it. You can't expect to get unless you have a greater fool who's willing to pay that price for your house at 6% mortgage rates. It's just not going to work. Um, and I think that they got to realize who are the people that can purchase that house. For example, there's more people over the age of 75 who are buying houses than people under the age of 35. Big problem. And if you look further into that statistic, it's like, well, it's basically either you're in your house and you basically can't afford your own house because now it's worth more than you'd be able to buy it for due to mortgage rates and prices. So the only way you can afford another house is if you sell your current house. So I hope you caught that. If you are in a house right now that you bought, several years ago, let's say even, during the pandemic, like 2020 or before, the current house you now hold, you can't afford in the current environment. So if you were to sell your house, you may not be able to get into another house. You may have to, you'd probably, I know someone who sold their house, and they told me this is probably the best house we will ever live in again. Very big house. They've been in it for almost 30 years, if not more. Um, and they sold it, but they probably will have to settle for something a lot less just because how expensive everything is. So the people who are able to afford or buy houses are people who are making a lot of money, which is, I saw some statistic. It was like, you know, the 5% of the population. And then other people who are able to just afford it, who aren't making a lot of money, are people who are selling their house for a lot and moving into something, either downsizing, right? So settling for something less for almost the same price, or they move to like a different market. And situations like this where the younger crowd, and you have some more middle-aged people, they're not going to be buying that house, right? Because look at these delinquencies for student loans. That's not going to do it. And so then you see here, U.S. That's railroad. Um, then you see things like this. Sherwin-Williams suspends 401k matching amid weak sales. So this goes to show that the economy, the state of the economy right now, it's living in a false illusion due to where the markets are near all-time highs. Yeah, a lot of people are not, their portfolios are not near all-time highs. So that goes to show you is there's a dichotomy that's happening. And a lot of folks are really hurting. And I think once this bubble comes down, there's going to be a lot of pain. And so, I hear a lot of people say that people don't really understand the economic crisis that's coming down the pipeline. And I think a lot of people don't. Even if you lived through, the great financial crisis or dot-com bubble or, the 1987, like there's I think this is a culmination of everything coming to an apex. And when it's done, it's going to leave a disaster. So, anyways, with that in mind, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Let me know in the comment section. This is the Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.